It's so yeah, ginger, 7%.
You can taste the. You can taste all of it. You can taste the ginger. Is it green tea?
I think he might have used a slight tea extract. But that's also, you gotta think that's from the yeasting of it, the actual sitting
Of course,
of it.
yeah. It's good. And that's the bottle it comes in?
That's come from the keg, so we just bring growlers to people for the sampling and everything.
Nice.
It's coming, man. We trying to get there, but you know these rules and regulations. So we finally, Timeline Brewery, we also have Knight Foundation making this possible. After a long hunt, we have also finally had the chance to get Mr. Starex on camera. Starex, when did you fall in love with tech?
When I realized that it can help my goals, like as far as spreading the joy of food and culture.
Okay.
And I realized that it could be a vehicle for that.
Gotcha.
Because otherwise, it'd be a lot more difficult.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Word of mouth is a lot different when you can reach tens of thousands in a couple of seconds.
Literally. That's what, and my partners, Felicia and Derek, had been in tech for a while, and I was still on a corporate government job, and after some incident happened to all of us, we were eating at a restaurant here in Miami and had a really unfortunate experience. Kind of racist experience.
I think I remember your initial post before it even got officially named, right?
And at the time, I probably had 500 Facebook followers. Like literally, my Facebook was just my actual friends, and people I knew. Probably had 500 followers. Would get maybe, I don't know, 20 likes, for a post. I never wanted to do anything in tech,
Right.
We were sitting at this restaurant, and they just had this horrible experience. And so when we left, all of us felt collectively powerless. Like what can we do to change the narrative of what we experienced?
Okay.
And so social media opened that door, And so the Hungry Black Man was born from that experience. And it was, to be honest with you, Mike, it was a big learning curve for me because I was kind of like I'm not saying anti-technology,
right.
but I viewed it as, hey, this is hurting people. It's making people less connected,
right?
It's taking away the sort of human.
We were talking about that. Kill some of the experiences because you rely on everything to come through a social media feed.
Yes, yeah. So as a result, getting over that sort of belief was actually kind of difficult. It wasn't something that I just dove right in. So I told Felicia, like, you manage this, you do this, I'll write the articles, but y'all take care. And so she was like, no, like,
you gotta learn everything, yeah.
She's like, I'm gonna show you how to do this once, and then that's it. So like, she showed me how to, Google Analytics and how to put, and then that was it. And so her and Derek was like, there you go. And I learned,
But you're getting like 5,000 to 10,000 responses and views on your content now, right?
Yeah, I mean, so it's a national blog,
Right.
So we're in Chicago, Detroit, Austin, here, South Florida, and now we're gonna be traveling to New York. I was a little afraid of New York because there's so many.
Got a lot of high-end food critics in different places. Yeah.
And I don't want the food world just lost Jonathan Gold,
right?
And that was a huge blow to food writers and bloggers everywhere, because he was honestly the sort of troubadour, if you will, of small businesses and minority businesses, culinary businesses, specifically people of color.
Okay.
So he was covering in LA the things that you wouldn't even think to stop in this strip mall, and yet he would write about it in such a fashion that was so like not only enchanting but involving and inviting, right? Like you felt a part of it. So that type of storytelling for me was something that I wanted to replicate for my people.
Right.
And technology allowed that to happen along with great coaches,
And you also kind of got that from Anthony Bourdain. We lost him this year too.
Yeah.
So I think maybe, and I'm not to have a cross comparison. You think maybe that'd be the lifestyle or the depth you'll go as far as exposing cultures in full?
Sure.
Is that like a future plan to actually kind of I don't want to say to be the black Anthony Bourdain, because you have your own style.
Of course.
And I think you bring more of a business development, business knowledge. You give intelligence on top of the food.
Got you.
You give business, and Anthony to me was just about life and experiences around the food. You give a lot of knowledge of what it takes to be successful. So you get into the same thing with Felicia. She gets into business development of tech.
You're right.
You get into the business.
I never looked at. That's interesting.
You get into the business development of actually a food industry, and it's about the food, but it's about the service. It's about the portions.
Yeah.
And I notice how you break things down. But do you think maybe you'll start getting into more of the lifestyle around the food?
That's a really good question. I think Anthony Bourdain, it was funny, you know, he in Miami he said this. An interviewer in I want to say it was Lifestyle. Don't quote me on that. It was a Miami magazine.
Okay.
And they asked him what do you feel is the largest problem or issue barrier in the food industry right now? And he said racism. Anthony Bourdain, he said, look, you know, he goes, you can't walk into a high-end restaurant and see an executive chef that's black. He's like, you know, the sous chefs, you know, the dishwashers, and all of the lower-end positions, they're filled with black people. But he's like, in this day and age, he's like, you still don't see the equality, you know, with chefs. And so that's all black chefs and culinarians around the world, I'm sure was, you know, applauding that, because that's a real big problem, and right here. And
so it's funny we have, because I know you started taking it. I remember when you would come to South by Southwest. You were going to some of the conferences, but I knew you kind of going to go down this journey because you were very interested in the food that was there.
The South Bites.
Yeah,
I went to all the South Bites programs.
Right,
you know?
And you started doing that. So when did you start making the connection of realizing diversity and inclusion wasn't just a tech problem?
Sure.
But it's almost a every industry problem when we really get into
Except
it.
for prison. We're definitely, we don't have a diversity problem with prison. But
actually we do. Just
who's
right.
You know? But no, but so when it was funny because when I was at South Bites, I went to all the workshops and all those sessions, and so I'm just, because I was always a cook, you know. But I never thought about writing about food or even doing what I'm doing now. But when I was there, I remember going to a session, and there was an Asian woman next to me, and she was complaining about how as a child she was like, I remember, I mean, we had this really great conversation. I want to say she was from Thailand, and she was like how she would open her lunch in elementary, and everyone would be covering their nose, making very dramatic scenes, like, ew, what is that? And so she was like, I became ashamed of my food. I became ashamed of my culture because, you know, I went to pretty much just like an all-American, all-white elementary, and she's like, that was something that stuck with me. And she's like, for my entire life, I was ashamed of my culture because I felt that it was strange or was different. And
instead of accepting her culture.
And so in my mind, I'm thinking, like, I think that's amazing because here, you know, 20 years ago when we were children, it was a sense of shame, but now the same people that were laughing at her
trying to replicate
replicating and making billions, right? And so when you look at the Oaxacan grandmother that creates amazing burritos in a fashion that is indicative to that region of Mexico, and then you have a Chipotle popping up, and now folks associating Chipotle with fresh Mexican cuisine. You know, that's a big problem because the creators and the folks who are the originators of these culinary cuisines and food pathways, they don't get the credit and they don't get the finances behind that. So for me, I was like, if I can find a way to jive all of this together through technology, through activations, and using technology as a means to reach people, that's what I wanted to do. And I can say, like, just today, we got an amazing testimony from the blog. Every Black Business Month, we review not only Black-owned restaurants but Black-owned businesses. And so it was a Black woman who is a contractor. And so I'll put a post up and I'll say, name a Black contractor.
Oh yeah, your Facebook post.
Yeah, and so
to tag somebody in a certain part of an industry.
This lady got $150,000 job from a Black chiropractor's office that was remodeling, and she saw the post, and so she was like, hey, like, would you be able to send me some information or whatever? And so she's like, yeah. And so I was reviewing her fashion spot, and I just couldn't believe she was like, I got a $150,000 job off that. And so today we reviewed a black-owned pool repair company, and they were at my house at the pool. And so we're filming them, and as soon as we get off, a guy, Mr. McClendon, who is a Facebook follower and a blog follower, calls him and says, hey, I have several properties that I want you to go ahead. And so like literally they got about 6 or 7 properties off like right there.
That's awesome.
You know, and so that level of involvement and engagement, I couldn't do that without
technology.
Learning how to use technology in the form of social media.
So do you think maybe business development is almost more important right now than just developing new businesses? Because it seems like we have the talent there, but we just don't have the connections there.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a big problem. And so when you said what you said, I never put that together. I never was like, yeah, we're like, but you're right. Like, so I'll go into a restaurant, right? Like today, some lady tagged me, and it was a little black girl selling lemonade.
Okay.
Right? And so she's like,
a lot of lemonade companies,
right? But so she's selling the lemonade, and so everyone starts laughing because they're like, "Oh, you tagged the hungry black man in this," and I was like, "What type of water is she using? What type of lemons is she using? What type of sweetener is she using?" Okay. Right? And so she was like, "Well, I don't know any of that," and I was like, "Well, we have to help our people because that's how you're going to compete. Because now, if you're doing a lemonade stand, if you're just using Dixie Crystal sugar and some country thyme and you're stirring it up, like I don't want to buy that. Like I'm not gonna, and I don't believe in like." This is cute and adorable. No, like be like the little bee girl.
Fresh squeezed and know where you get right.
And now she's making millions with Whole Foods. So if you're gonna teach your kids to be entrepreneurs in food, like you gotta come right. You gotta come correct. And so a lot of our black businesses, small black businesses in predominantly middle to lower income black neighborhoods. We want to make sure that that's set because you got like Zest Miami and Orchanique on the Mile, and the Gables is black owned. But and so folks, when they go there, the sort of commonality and the sort of judgment that folks invoke on black restaurants and businesses, it is not applicable, right?
Well, that's where the talent comes from, because they're normally creating out of necessaries and means versus want. But speaking of beverages, choice, craft beer, craft cocktail. What would
craft cocktail.
What's the drink of choice?
So for me, I would definitely, I love berries. I love berries with vodka, right? So I would do, if I had to come up with something off the wall right now, I would probably mutt some strawberries, blueberries, raspberries, take the juice, and then put a little club soda. Probably use Belvedere. I love Belvedere because it's so smooth. Or if I want to go black-owned vodka, I'll use Toast. Toast or VG.
Okay.
Love VG vodka.
Toast needs more exposure because they could compete against Ciroc if they had the right exposure.
Easily, but VG, to be honest with you, Mike, I was really impressed with VG vodka. I mean, it's so smooth and like when you're done, I got a punch up there that I made with it.
Oh yeah, we can definitely get that.
Yeah. So I should have brought it down.
Should have brought it down for this one. What about Afro Heads?
Oh, the
rum.
So that's not black owned, but it's good. The rum is delicious. It's not black owned though. No. Yeah, I was disappointed too.
I am. Internally, I'm hurting right now.
Yeah,
because I was looking forward to that.
It's delicious.
Really?
I love Afro Head rum. Mount Gay rum is my favorite rum.
Okay.
And that's made by the folks the Remy Martin.
Remy Martin brand.
You know, so Mount Gay rum is the oldest rum on the planet.
You gotta research that.
I'm pretty sure that's the oldest rum around.
So if we plugged into
continuously run, actually.
Okay, gotcha.
European standards, by the way.
It's going on.
So there might be some Taino Indians that made rum a long time. You know, I don't know, but like as far as like European standards, I want to say that's recognized by European standards.
Okay.
As far as rum is concerned, yeah.
So if we plugged into your life right now, we were watching a movie or a TV show, what would we be watching?
What show am I into right now? Dang, you know people like us don't have a lot of time for TV.
You're either addicted to certain things or you're totally addicted.
Okay, so
It doesn't have to be a current show, but just something that's more so representative of you.
Representative of me.
Like
shows.
right now, I think I'm going through a different world kind of lifestyle.
Oh, you want me to do it like that?
Yeah.
Probably Game of Thrones. That's how my life is right now. And I think I'm definitely the North. I'm definitely the North.
Winter is coming.
No, so yeah. But a good show that I'm watching right now is Snowfall. Have you seen Snowfall?
Nah.
Oh my! Don't you seen Snowfall?
Oh, the one on FX?
Yeah.
I saw.
That show is good.
I heard it was pretty good.
Snowfall. I'm wrapping up. I'm trying to get.
It was an old school executive producer is making that.
I think John Singleton's doing
it. John Singleton. Yeah. Old school because John Singleton was one of the OGs that doesn't still get the record.
But I think he is old. I mean, he would. Well, let me not say old because
he's probably closer to Spike Lee's age. He's old in the game though. He's been around for a long time.
Yeah, but yeah.
And for y'all young cats watching it, John Singleton had a lot to do with most of the black films that you probably like and ever heard of.
Or your rappers referencing their terrible lyrics. but as far as shows like Billions.
Yeah, Billions was my
literally
joint.
one of my favorite shows right now.
Billions is so educational of the mindset of how people maneuver though.
And greed.
Yeah.
You know?
Wanting so much when you already have everything.
Cause this beer is delicious, by the way. Like I'm still kind of tasting the flavors, by the way.
It sits.
Seriously, it does.
It sits. So, we know your aha moment because you explained that as far as when you went through your experience, and that's how the Hungry Black Man kicked off. Mm-hmm. And then Felicia and Derek, of course, being the ones that say we're not going to do it for you, but we'll show you how to do it.
Yep.
Diversity and inclusion. When we first, all of us, when we had the first hotel at South by Southwest, and unfortunately I stayed off site, but we was figuring it all out.
Yeah.
That topic has seemed to kind of fizzle out a little bit. Mm-hmm. But how do you think politics are affecting the things that you're doing now?
Oh, in drastic ways. I mean, politics right now is affecting food in such a profound manner that it's really astounding.
Have you noticed the decline in the size of fruits in the last?
Of course.
It's horrible. Peaches are tiny as hell.
Yeah.
Limes don't have the acidity.
The acidity of so believe it or not, if you want good limes, go to and I love Publix. I love Publix grocers. My favorite grocer. And I'm not being endorsed by them or anything. I just do. I don't like Whole Foods. I loathe Whole Foods. I think and I was happy that Amazon bought it because it fits into that very.
Amazon. I think Whole Foods is good packaging for a hipster that thinks they know how to cook.
Mm. They do such disrespectful things like make jerk chicken and mac and cheese, and I'm like, why are you doing this? Like, what? Nobody asked you to do this. Like, but so. I think that like as far as politics are concerned, the reason I went there is because like the large supermarkets, people don't realize that they have a lot of influence.
Yeah.
You know, so I think Amazon buying Whole Foods and seeing that it's something that they could you go in there now, you see the big Amazon, whatever those things are.
The lockers and everything are there now too. Yeah, that's when I knew it was gonna happen, when I started seeing the lockers.
But I think that for me the politics behind food for me locally would be the fact that we don't have a real strong food ecosystem in South Florida
at all,
and so there's no cultivation of getting a black-owned grocer. Empowering black farmers.
I was just gonna say, I'm wondering when people are gonna finally start taking up some of this land, like the Lake Worth land and stuff just north of Port St. Lucie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really at a point in my life where I was telling Alicia, I want to go buy a couple of acres and have a distillery out there.
That would be incredible.
And
or a vineyard.
Yeah, just grow my own stuff, because
that would be
a lot of the stuff you need, you know what I'm saying? Like, I forgot what was the football player we worked with that had the Moscato? But he had like I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna hit him to ship us a case.
Okay.
He played for the Saints, but he had an orange Moscato, and it was amazing.
That sounds good.
It was just amazing. It was one of the best Moscatos I've ever had.
Yeah.
But now there's another person. They have a lime Moscato and a mango Moscato.
You know what? I have never had a spirit that was infused with mango or essence of mango that I liked.
I gotta bring you Mama Mango.
Yeah.
Is a mango Moscato. Costs about $13.
I just for some reason I don't like mango in my spirits. I like I said, I'm a berry person.
I'm gonna bring you mango, and I haven't made one this summer, which is but I make a mango pie.
I made a lot of cocktails this summer.
I made a mango pie that's the same formula of a sweet potato pie.
Okay.
But I just do it with mangoes.
I don't know if I would like that. You put brown sugar and all that in there?
Everything.
Nutmeg?
Everything you would taste in a sweet potato pie.
I'm not gonna like that.
Alabama sweet potato pie.
Do you use the stringy mangoes or the smooth mangoes?
Smooth.
I like the stringy ones though. Like if I'm gonna eat, because the fruit, I can eat the fruit.
But it's the smoother one just for the components of holding itself together.
Did you see that that barbecue watermelon that's popular?
I'm wondering how it tastes.
Did you see that?
It looks great.
No, I'm sure it's delicious because I smoked some peaches with my frat brother, Cecil, and that peach was delicious.
I'm wondering how it tastes though.
I bet you it's delicious.
I'm just wondering if my mindset is going to be totally expecting meat and it's still watermelon.
I mean, that smoke flavor with fruit, people don't realize, like,
yeah, that's great.
that smoke kisses that fruit. It is delicious.
Yeah, if I'm grilling and the grill is going to stay on and I know it's going to take too long for it to cool down, I'll find whatever fruit I can and put it on the small side and just smoke it for an hour or two, and that becomes dessert.
So smoked peaches, smoked watermelon, smoked mangoes. I think, you know,
How
obviously
to smoke mangoes? I'll have to do that.
Yeah, man. It's. I mean, I bought speaking of what we're doing, we're going to be doing a barbecue concept with a guy by the name of Trey Hollis.
Okay.
And his wife Autumn. We're going to do a barbecue series right here at Tribe. Yeah, and it's
right in the backyard.
It's gonna be authentic. I would say it's definitely not Carolinian, so it's more on the Tennessee Bill Street type.
A little bit more white.
Yeah. No, well, the thing is that in South Florida, barbecue's cooked on high heat.
Yeah.
So everyone cooks on high heat. No one smokes anything.
So of a redder sauce too down here.
Right.
Yeah.
And I've seen that sort of Carolina Gold trying to make its way, and they'll mix it. They'll put some peppers in it.
Right.
But the smoked rib for me is low and slow.
Yeah, but a lot of people down here have started even going to wood chips versus even using charcoal.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you're cooking it in 20, 30 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, like the
versus
wood,
4 to 8 hours.
Exactly. So that's what you're gonna have here. You're gonna have 4 to 8 hours.
So they got to come here early in the morning, or they're gonna start late that night.
Mike, and I tell you, when you taste it, you're gonna go, this is one of the best barbecue plates I've ever had. We have the butcher paper and the trays. We got some cowboy beans.
So the peach parchment paper, real stuff.
You're gonna see it, man. And we're gonna have cowboy beans. We're gonna have a jerk rub and a classic rub. So you have 2 barbecue flavors. Right. No sauce is needed, but we're gonna have a sauce for you. And then we're gonna have a really interesting. His wife Autumn does a really interesting mac and cheese. It's long
as she ain't got blueberries in it, we okay.
Oh God, man! That's the Food Network. But you know, the Food Network's in trouble. That's why they're doing this. Like their ratings are down.
They're struggling. They're trying.
So
Tasty is killing them with these little 1-minute videos that are shot with a DJI overhead.
Insider, and it's funny because it's like Insider Food popped out of nowhere.
Yeah, we was just talking about that with my friend Michael Anderson that has a spice company in Orlando.
Popped out of nowhere.
Yeah.
What is that?
They're
Business
killing
Insider.
them. They're killing them. So if you had to think about starting a business,
sure.
Any co-founder, dead or alive, who would your co-founder be and what's the business?
I would start a farm, and I would like to start it with George Washington Carver. And the reason I would do that is
Tuskegee University, very good.
Because
very good.
George Washington Carver was a genius, and the term plant, industrial plant, came from him. And folks don't know that he was hired by Henry Ford to build out the mechanism and the flow of how his cars were produced. And so that's how we got the term plant. So when I think about the ingenious philosophy that this guy embraced, if I opened a farm with him, I would literally turn into like we would be cracking, man, because there's a bunch of land and like
about 80% of my family went to Tuskegee University.
Seriously.
So I used to go see the museum with the 300 different ways to use the peanuts almost every summer.
Dang.
That was my life. So, and Ollie, one of the interns here, goes to Booker T. Washington.
Okay.
So I made her do research to understand. So I know a lot. So it's just funny you say that because that's the energy we just put in the room.
That's who I would definitely, I could just imagine.
So I can see that working. So you get to pick a mentor or a friend to bring along as your third co-founder to wrap it up. Mentor has to be alive. Friend has to be alive. Are you bringing
Buffett?
Wrap it up.
Can you imagine that team? Warren Buffett gets George Washington Carver.
I think you have totally destroyed the whole food industry at that point.
Can you imagine that conversation between the two of them?
It would be intense, but just great.
Dang. Because I have so much respect for Warren Buffett. Even though he's a capitalist, I mean, we're all technically capitalists, but
But he sees things before they happen.
like,
He's
wow.
a visionary, yeah.
You know,
He's
like,
a visionary.
we lack wisdom. I lack wisdom.
I tell people,
So-
you want to look at how much Jay-Z changed. Looked at how he changed from when he had that sit down with Warren versus where he's at now.
Isn't that crazy?
That's when his life turned around.
What did they talk about?
I would love to just
be at
and the fact that he was still eating, McDonald's and Jay's, on these lobsters and everything. Like, did he convince Jay to have a burger that day? Like, how did that conversation go? So if there was a soundtrack to your life, a song or album, what would we be listening to?
Dang, that's a hard one. That's hard, Mike.
See, people fly through the business stuff, but when you got to get personal, that's when the hesitation.
Because I'm a musician, and my I don't have let me think. Dang, that's
So you might
hard.
have to go with an album. You probably can't just go with one song.
No, I can go with a song.
So on repeat, it's like your Shaft song.
This
Everywhere
is
you go,
hard. I don't know.
everywhere you go, it's on in the
Probably
background.
Curtis Mayfield. Like.
But which one though? That's too broad for me. You're a musician. We can't. That's like 88 songs we can pick
That's
from.
what I'm saying. Dang, Mike, that's hard. It would be out of Curtis Mayfield, or as far as artists, like anything that any
Early
album,
or later, Curtis?
early.
Okay.
Early. Superfly, I think that would probably be my soundtrack. To be honest with you, yeah.
That is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
So, with everything you're doing, what's kind of the legacy that you want to leave at this point?
I definitely want to be at the center of the Black culinary ecosystem and food and drink ecosystem being literally transformed.
Okay.
And I know that's super ambitious, and I don't know what that transformation looks like, but I definitely want it to be positive.
I don't think it's super ambitious because I think if you were doing something too small, you wouldn't accomplish anything.
True.
Because it wouldn't make the impact that you want to make.
Yeah, I think I want to see white folks coming into Black spaces, eating our food and buying our food. Like that's what I want to just walk into Jackson's and Little Greenhouse Grill and Miami Soul Cafe and see, white folks from Brickell, from Coral Gables, taking that drive the same way we take a drive to go to their restaurants. I want them to do that. So I would love to see that be like
making our culture and food just as desirable. They take the food and culture and they just don't.
Well, Uber Eats fixed that for them, so now they can get
a lot.
But that
happened to Betsy's up in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah,
I would love to see that.
Betty's, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, from Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, I love Betty's.
All right.
Betty.
So I'll put you in the hot seat for the whole time. So give you a chance to ask me a couple of questions if you want to.
Sure.
I
I know I just kind of briefly talked to Dante about how you guys are going into like the video editing world. Do you see that ramping up, or do you think that's just an additive of kind of what you guys already do?
I think it's almost replacing what we do as designers. When you start thinking about content, it's kind of spent the summer looking at the difference between social media, a 15-second to 1 minute video, versus a heavily designed, because so much stuff is being viewed on the phone. So I think it's almost replacing a component of design as far as communication. So when you think of brands, I think a lot of brands are missing opportunities because they're still spending high-end dollars on still photography versus cutting that money in half and having somebody do videography of behind the scenes.
Gotcha.
And now that becomes 3 months worth of content versus you spend all this money on just 7 photos. So, you know,
Nah, you're right.
that's what it comes down to. So you got to think somebody like a Taco Bell, they got this perfect photo of Mexican food. The food itself isn't going to be that appealing. But if you could tell a story behind the food and put it into clips, that becomes a whole series of a marketing campaign. So I think that'll become pretty much the base component of what Medium 4 will become. And that's why we always had the company name as Medium 4 and Digital Grass. Medium was supposed to be changing our mediums as the time. So video is definitely one of the more pronounced mediums that we will be using.
And then I guess the other thing, because your sites and your products are so, they are probably some of the best I've seen, you know, definitely here. But because they're so sophisticated, sometimes it's out of reach for like the survival entrepreneur. Do you ever see yourself like do you ever see yourself like becoming more Walmart-ish in your offerings? Do you ever see maybe creating, because the reason I'm asking you that is because I would love to see like you create a shadow organization that offers like not a lower quality, but a product that would be the Medium 4 type, like an Aldi, right? So like you got Whole Foods, you got Aldi. Like I want to see Medium 4 Aldi. Like I need to see that.
You know what? The thing is, I wouldn't say we would be able to offer that versus we had this program that we took away and it was like Medium 4 Forward.
Okay. And
we would give our services, but we would take a small equity of the company.
Oh, okay.
Because the goal is to elevate people. And the thing is, most of the time, a brand or a product is looked at a certain way because the branding doesn't match it. And our thing has always been, the way you package up the product is going to say everything.
Definitely.
So some people want to put themselves at an Aldi level, but we want to get you at that Whole Foods level, and then you make an Aldi product just because you have the extra money to.
Got you.
But you have to raise yourself to expertise. And we've heard it, you know, but a lot of people don't understand. We don't ever just design. Every client we work with, we sit down and we consult them, we understand their company, and we've always designed a brand as if it was our own.
Nice.
So it's hard. It's almost like, hey, could you do a world star version of Hungry Black Man?
And the sad part about it is that I would love to do that. You know, it's just that
it actually takes a lot.
Yeah.
Because you're literally breaking down your brand in a whole different way, and you almost have to change your approach.
You're right.
And sometimes it's just too hard to change the approach. So I don't know if we could change our approach just to appeal versus I'd rather just have a dope ass brand that ends up selling at Aldi, you know. But
you're right.
I mean, I appreciate the recognition, but it's just like with Pop Soul. We do certain things and people like, we get it, but we don't know if you can't afford it, you can't afford it. You know, Tiffany's is not going to change their product just so you can have a blue bag. You can either afford a blue bag or you can't.
Got you.
So we want people to come with the bag. You'll make sacrifices for the things you want.
Of course.
But I think pushing excellence will be the growth of us, the greatness of us, or the death of us.
Got you.
But I'd rather die with people saying they were always ahead of the curve, the stuff was always beautiful, people just didn't want to pay the price.
Because I found myself, the reason I asked that, like on this side, doing that. You know, we had like Black Panther weekend, or had this idea for adult summer camp.
I remember that.
And it was like $350, and people were just like, "Oh my God!" And so I was like, you know, I didn't want to say like, "Oh, like you shouldn't like complain. That's not a lot of money," because I don't know people's situations. And I found myself altering my brand like a lot.
Because let me tell you, you could have ended up doing it for $50 to $75. And the people that still could afford it, $350, they would have came. True. But you would have had to lower the value of it. You would have had to change the perception. You would have had to change the value. And then they're complaining even though you dropped the value of it. So that's what we have to think about. So no, we aren't going to send you 14 logos. No, we aren't going to send you a color theory. No, we're not going to explain to you this color makes a person feel this way. That's why we do it.
Yeah.
Or we're stretching out the marketing because we know we got to build it up because it's so sophisticated. If you drop all your money now, people don't get it.
Got you.
The moment you change yourself to fit other people that don't appreciate you in the first place, the only thing you've done is lost yourself.
That makes a lot of sense.
So I won't lose myself just to make somebody else happy.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. I just found myself doing that because I wanted folks to experience what I wanted them to
Stay true to your
experience.
brand.
Yeah.
The only, we was talking about this earlier, the only thing you should even think about doing is getting you a DJI stabilizer for your mobile device. Other than that, why would you change where within 6 months you're now getting 10,000, 12,000 views of video?
True.
We don't even get that much. You know how many people would die to get, and you're getting organically. It's not like you're sponsoring your videos. Like, you have organic growth of what people are paying for.
You know what's crazy, Mike, to be honest with you? Like, I've been on panels and they're like how did you like do that? And I didn't even realize where it was going until I started seeing the shares, and then like some of the posts went viral.
You fulfill a need, brother.
It had nothing to do with the food, which was a problem.
You
fulfill
like
crazy
a need.
Stuff.
It's a whole different level of social conscious that you attack the people.
Yeah.
Because I could say one thing I've always felt about you, you've never been afraid of the repercussions of speaking your own truth.
I work for the government, so.
But most people would freeze up.
True.
Most people, they get to the point of talking that truth, and it's like, ooh,
yeah.
I don't know if I want to go there.
Life is too short, you know, because like you look up and
it's all gone.
You know, and I just don't have time. And I got that, you know, it's funny because Felicia and Derek reminds me of myself in that. And like most of your friends, you can kind of see bits of yourself in them. And I find myself like, we do that a lot, you know, and it's not being disrespectful or being rude or
being real.
It's literally just expressing yourself, you know.
That's the hat I have on today probably helped our business or killed our business, because we were the organization that built the brand for Justice for Trayvon Martin.
Yeah.
And so when we went through that, we went through the whole thing, me and Dante, it was like, do we want to be the agency that built that? Or do we want to kind of just hide in the dark? But it wasn't no money. There was no money to collect on the basis of what we were trying to do.
Yeah.
And so you got to think one of the most viral social media campaigns, that was a part of a brand we built. That's incredible. Parks and Crumps was our client. So when we tell people, you're not paying us just for a name, like we have experience in things, but a lot of it, your experience, you don't get attached to it because we're not in the fame side. So we've never got to have the dinners with Jay-Z.
Right.
You know, we didn't get to be a part of the production of Rest in Power.
Yeah.
But we were there with Benjamin Crump and Daryl Parks when it mattered the most.
Right.
Jennifer, you know, the whole team. That's what we cared about. Once we make impact, we don't chase dollars. And that's what most people probably don't understand about you. You're charging because you just want to put on a quality event.
Like, that's it.
Other people, like when we did the festival, like Katrina has gotten so much growth with Pop Soul because of doing that one festival with you. It's the sacrifices we make.
Cool, man.
So let's close us out with one final word, brother.
Sure.
Just one word.
Keep pressing.
Pressing. All right, y'all. 2Techies. Make it happen. Knight Foundation, Starex, Hungry Black Man. It's been a great conversation. We'll catch you all on the next one. It's going to be our season closer. So, peace.